is Thursday. RawMikeRichards.com, broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto. 234 King Street East out of the Pacific Junction Hotel. And oh, do we have a show. My good friend, Jeff Lumby, and yours, live in studio. We'll also talk about the Open Championship at beautiful Carnoustie. I know people always say that, and I just think it looks like shit. I hate the links golf course. It looks like they don't take care of it. It looks like they ran out of lawnmowers when they went to do the third cut. Oh, it's a lot of gasoline. You know, I just it's not my favorite thing. I saw that our good friend Mark Sakino, who by the way gooned us on being on the show.
Exactly.
He thinks he's better than us. You're not better than us. Yeah, maybe he's better than us. He gets a salary. John Ram.
That puts him ahead of us.
He likes John Ram. Didn't you like John Ram?
John Rahm, yeah.
Rahm.
Yeah, well, they like him. So I'm thinking, okay. Remember, you can still get in on that piñata. Oh, yours was Brandon Steele, which I love.
Oh, you can't get the piñata because the tournament already started.
So it's out? You're out?
It's out, yeah. Kevin Kisner is your leader through 18. He finished earlier today. He's at -5, which is a pretty good score. Top Canuck, Adam Hadwin, at 2 over, so he's 7 back. Tiger Woods tees off in 55 minutes time.
Okay. Also, I'll show you evidence that Michael Jackson stole the moonwalk. Way to go. You know, stop concentrating on the chimps and the elephant bone and the other stuff. Come up with your own thing. Oh, that's right, you're dead. Speaking of dead, these guys, and depending on the city that you're viewing from, where you get these rental bikes.
Yes.
Number one, you're a loser if you're cycling in the city, you're a loser. Here's what makes it worse. You can't afford a bike. We're poor. I can still get a bicycle, and if you're gonna ride a bicycle, don't wear one of those little jazz hats, you know, the little like you're cycling to a session with Oscar Peterson. No, you're not. And they got the little writer's bag, like they're some sort of script writer. Scorsese, here's something: collect some pop bottles, get a bicycle, and stay off the road. There wasn't even a bike lane today, Dave. It was just this guy with, I don't know, he looked like he was one of the. What was the one John Gomeshi's band was in before?
Yes, oh yes, I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
you know what my favorite part about the cyclists is the ones that will weave in and out of traffic, burn through stop signs, get hit, and go.
Oh, and you get one of these. I love getting one of those.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah, they want to be part of the road, but they act like asses.
Yeah, that's why. If you have your golf clubs in your car, Jack Nicholson had it right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he did.
I think Joshua Gabor also did that too.
Google that. Yeah. That's good play.
Oh.
And Tiger Woods' wife too.
Yeah,
ex-wife.
Hers was from a different reason. What was the old joke? She's you can tell she's a golfer's wife because she took 56 swings, but she marked herself down as a 12. Okay, here we go, and this is big time Hollywood. How excited do you get when I say the name Heather Locklear?
I used to get excited.
Yeah. Well, not now. Back in the day. Russell still does.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And
Russell likes Sears catalogs, though.
You've been let's not knock what you have at the time.
Yeah,
we all know the rule there.
Fair enough.
You've been an extra in movies.
Yes.
And who's the hot one? Was it Gina?
Gina Gershon.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, 1-on-1.
Okay. Yeah. Well, here, our guest coming up in just a few seconds here was like speaking part, like Hollywood movies with Heather Locklear.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Okay, the movie's called The Perfect Man. This is what it looked like.
Now I'd like to introduce to you the head of our guidance department, Dr. Charles Fitch.
Hey there, everyone. Let me tell you how I run the guidance department. I have an open door policy, which means you can stop by my office whenever you want. I also have an open mind policy. There are no stupid questions. So please, if you have something on your mind, knock on my door.
Mom.
Or raise your hand. Woman in the back, go ahead.
Instead of once a year, have you considered a monthly forum where students and teachers could exchange thoughts in an effort to enhance communication and bridge gaps?
That's a great comment, Mrs.
Miss Hamilton. I also wondered if you thought of monthly mixers for single parents. Not that I don't want to meet married parents as well. I would. It's just that sometimes we single parents have different concerns than married ones, different priorities.
Needs.
If you know what I mean. And by priorities, I mean I need to meet a good man.
In that case, where do I sign up?
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly how it went. And then I'm imagining Jeff Lumby, a torrid love affair filled full of sexual wonder and
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
She looked good
exploring
there.
of
She looked good
bodies.
there.
And
She wasn't all coked up.
No, well, don't
Okay,
knock that
so-
either, Dave.
And age too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that looked
That's okay.
fantastic.
Big hand for
Well
our
done.
guest, our pal Jeff
Thank you
Lumby.
very much.
Hard to do that in front of everybody too. How many takes was that?
Well, you had to do it for every different camera
I know,
angle,
I
right?
hate
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Ugh,
But you could see how all over me she was.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
There's
I
there
think
were-
she was actually when she read her script.
Yeah.
She was actually referring to you.
Well, clearly.
It's like
Yeah.
get rid of the other 75 people
Well-
in the room, and we got this.
Yeah.
Where do you think Carol Pope came up with Cream My Jeans? That was from that scene.
Probably.
Yeah.
Even though probably happened 20 or 30 years ago. But you know what? I got to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
I know she's having a tough time right now. She was one of the nicest people I've ever met. She didn't have to come up and
Yeah.
introduce herself, but she did, and she was really sweet. I feel bad for all the crap that she's going through. It's just,
Because anytime you see it or hear
Yeah.
about it, you know it's not going to be good.
no.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yes, but
what's she doing now?
that's when you can get them. I'm
Oh.
just saying. I'm throwing it out there for the kids that are learning.
Where was that filmed?
Just in Toronto, like at Woodman High School. I don't know.
Okay,
like
so
over in the beaches somewhere.
Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, so most people, of course, of a certain age, Y95 was massive in Hamilton, but it wasn't Hamilton. It was the GTA. The numbers at that time when you came now, and again, for people who know Jeff or know of the name, it was the way radio used to work. And so you'd start with a certain company, and within that company was almost like being there was like a farm team, and you worked your way up to what was considered, depending on the company, their big shows. And of course, you had to be groomed, and it took a long time to either get to Toronto or wherever that market was. So for those who don't know your background, you're a born bred Saskatchewan boy.
Saskatchewan, yeah, and as you. Just like the WKRP in Cincinnati song goes, traveling from place to, so you try and move up in market size, right? And so that took me to Alberta, Lloydminster, Moose Jaw, blah blah, all these places, Winnipeg, Montreal, and then eventually out here. And it's funny, I was having lunch with a buddy who's in radio right now, and I said, yeah, Y95, we had a 5-guy morning show, and he just put his head in his hands. You don't have 5 guys running a radio station anymore, let alone on a morning show.
Exactly. Exactly.
Five Guys is not only a great restaurant, but Five Guys is your 6 o'clock time slot till 6 p.m.
Yeah.
total.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Exactly. And look, you've worked with a lot of guys that a lot of people would know. You start where? What's the first radio station?
First radio station is CJWW way back when I first started. It was like right out of high school, so 70s. Yeah.
And that's what town? Where are you?
Saskatoon.
You're in Saskatoon.
Yeah. And then it's like Lloydminster, and then we just trip all over the place. But, some pretty key stops like City FM in Winnipeg with
92.
Danny Kingsbury.
Yeah.
And Danny and I met at my second radio station in Lloydminster, Alberta, along with another buddy of ours, Dan Duran. And Danny kind of ended up going the management route, and we ended up working together at I think 3 or 4 different radio stations. So, but that was a pretty big step, because I got onto a morning show there in Winnipeg, and then from there it was Montreal, and I worked with my buddy Howard out there, who later started working with Fred Patterson, Humble and Fred. Okay, but then it was after that the Hamilton thing happened on our honeymoon. I said, Julie, you want to move from Montreal to Hamilton? And she said, okay. So
Who was your partner at City FM? Was that before or after Tom and Larry? Because I'm trying to remember. Because
It must have been before.
I grew up in Winnipeg.
Okay,
It's before.
Well,
'cause-
when did you grow up there?
So
I was.
I'm okay. So I'm born in '72.
Yeah.
Recollection is in the '80s. I start, and they were probably in the '90s. You were there when?
We were there 80. I was there 85 to like 87, 88, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So that was by the Polo Park Studios.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
the Breakfast Club.
Because
Yeah.
they moved. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and KY58 was part
Yeah.
of the.
Yeah.
And the arena was over there, just
The,
like
the arena
like
and the football stadium.
You could throw a brick into it from
Fantastic.
your. Yeah,
Everything
it
was
was
right there.
Awesome location. Everything was together, Mike. And now they have the arena downtown, which is great. But the football stadium's all the way out by the University of Manitoba.
Yeah.
Nice stadium, but hard to get to sometimes.
There was even a velodrome there.
Yes, that's right. That's right for the cycling. That's
And a
right.
great
Oh,
steakhouse.
Good.
Yeah.
Range
Good. A
areas.
building,
Yeah.
a building specifically for cycling. Knock yourself out.
Well, that's where they should be.
Yeah. Let's put them all in there.
Yeah, not on the road.
And then fill it full of water. This is what I'm saying.
My favorite thing with the cyclists is you're in a nice restaurant somewhere out in Caledon or something, and 20 of them come in after a 50K ride,
yeah.
smelling like a bus.
Yeah, that's
Hey!
Yeah. Now, the reason you get in this industry, and people may not know this, is your family, your parents, on some levels, and I think I can honestly say this, pioneers in a lot of the field.
Oh, for sure.
Whether it was photography, whether it was radio, whether it was television, whether it was the syndication of television, your parents were front runners in a lot of that, and a lot of the industry here in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mom and dad started at a television station in Saskatoon when it began in like 1955, and well, you were at my dad's memorial and you saw all those photos.
It was spectacular.
And he was a photographer, then a cinematographer, and then we had our own show. But in between all that, he and my mom made documentary films in Saskatoon. So yeah, I came by it honestly, and they worked with people in radio who eventually helped get me into radio originally, and then from there on, that's when jogging around the country happens.
And your mom worked at 1050 Chum, which I didn't realize. And was she the first woman?
Oh, I don't think so.
But in some capacity, when she was like a producer or something, or at some level, like I looked at it and thought, okay.
She wasn't here long.
No.
That's when she mailed back my dad's engagement ring.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a little cold.
Yeah, mailed it back, and then missed him so much that she had to come back to Saskatoon. So yeah, no, that's.
Hey, it's one of the great love stories.
It is,
I mean, the one thing people say, celebration of life, is it going to be awkward? Do you feel whatever it is? I can honestly say, over my Christmas holidays, and it will sound weird when I say this, but it was my favorite day. It was the best day I had over that period of time, because it truly was a celebration of life. Jeff put together a video of almost like a mini documentary of what it was like growing up in that house with his father, the relationship with his mom and his siblings. And it was something I said, if it was on like the documentary channel, it wouldn't even have to be edited, just put it on. It was so fantastic, so interesting. That really was amazing. And of course, all the guys you talked about, like Humble, were there.
Yeah. Danny, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the good folks. He was a great man. He really was. He taught me a lot, and I did sound for some of his films, so I was holding the big shotgun mic for a lot of his films. Like, that was my summer job, was flying all over the province. Mainly, he did forest documentaries, so it was doing that kind of stuff.
Well, and see, so Jeff and I meet. I think I'm just after I'm at the Fan, and myself and Derringer, and we have a session. And because I heard of the radio station, I still didn't grasp why where these numbers were coming from and what Y95 was. And Jeff and I, during one of the voice sessions, running each other, and we've been as close as anything since that time. So I end up going to Y95, and there were no more two very different styles on approaching how a show is done. I'll just say that. One very prepared, a lot of typed scripts.
I know nothing of this.
A lot of spell check, a lot of pre-reading, some pre-recording.
And then there was yours.
Then there was mine.
Yeah. Do we have any bar napkins here that we can write some bits on?
Yeah.
But you know what? Here's the great thing about it. We never had one disagreement on the show.
No.
And the bottom line was, if Mike said he was coming in with something, he came in with something. Yep. It may have been on a bar napkin. No, it was on a bar napkin. But I
was like, no, there's a girl's name. I need that one.
Don't throw that one out.
Yeah. But we produced so much stuff. I remember seeing on a blog one time, someone said, is it just me? Or for like this window, this period of time, Y95 was the coolest little secret, the coolest radio morning show to listen to, and it was fun because
without question, the best radio I've ever done was with you.
Well,
it was well, it's like you say, it was just such a mammoth amount of content
and production because I mean, I said you were a stickler for it. I had run headline comedy with my brother Scotty, so I always had stuff every week.
Yeah.
But we produced on top of that.
Yes. Oh, tons.
Yeah.
And the characters, like it was, and I don't think that it lends itself to today's radio because it involves a lot of work.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And
talent. And talent, what they call talent.
there's a lot of mail-ins going on out there. Let's just say that. But we did a boatload of work on that show. We really did.
It was great. And, of course, in a very strange twist, we end up at a station called Y95, and you'll see some of the Kiss FM.
Kiss FM.
And you'll see some of the pictures up there when we did country, man. We did a little bit of country, and Jefferson and Richards was the first name of it.
And
does that not sound country, man? Jefferson and Richards.
Who's this? Who? There's a picture that you posted today.
That was Mindy. Was it McCready? Mindy McCready.
No, really?
Yeah, she was going out with no, the blonde one.
No, the other one. Yeah.
She redid for country. She redid the song "I've Got a Brand New Pair of Roller Skates." The Key. The song was called "The Key" or "Brand New Key."
Yeah, this one right here.
Brand New Key.
Yeah.
Mindy McCready.
You sure that was her?
And she was going out with Dean Cain, Superman at the time. And then dumped them
Because she was all over me too, as you can. Well, you see
I
that.
can certainly see that. Anyone would. Well,
Yeah, that's the movie cover for Three-Way Weekend.
Right there.
So
Yeah.
it's the beginning of every.
Look at how like you're so far in the background in that shot, and really not even. You're not even really being.
Well,
I mean, you're kind. It was supposed to be. I think she wanted like a selfie type of thing.
I had other pictures, but yeah, could you get closer? Look at that. Hey, Harvey Weinstein, take it down a notch there. She came in, but see, we met some unbelievable people.
We met Vince Gill.
Vince Gill. To me, that
Trisha Yearwood.
Trisha Yearwood. We did a special one-on-one. Now this is so funny. There's a couple of one I can mention, one I can't. In this one particular story, they had something called something at 5 or Live at 5 or whatever. So we had
Live at 5.
Yeah, Live at 5.
Yeah.
So we had to come on a Sunday night.
KJ.
And she was coming in from Montreal. And Jeff goes, well, the reason she's coming in from Montreal is because Garth Brooks is playing in Montreal.
Oh,
This is but this was not yet.
No, not yet. He goes,
no,
so she's coming in because she's seen Garth. They go, oh, she is not. And she comes in. She's all like, hi everyone. I'm like, oh, yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got to tell you, she was one of the most fun human beings.
Awesome.
What a riot. I mean, funny, like genuinely funny.
They were all country music. The one thing about it, and we've worked a lot of different formats. Country music for that very short period of time was so enjoyable because of the people that came through there. So Vince Gill was great.
Vince Gill was shy, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
He was kind of, sitting against the wall. Hey, how y'all doing? Like, he was just
and then he picked up the
sweetheart.
guitar and you're like, and then the voice comes out.
Yeah.
One of the best guitar players in the world.
Yeah, that was a great time. But of all the places that we went and all the places we've been, see, Montreal, people may not understand that in Montreal he actually lived with one of the tandems that played goal for the Montreal Canadiens, which leads to this what will be a very, I'm assuming, painful story because very often they end very angrily in some of your stories.
My stories?
Yes. Yeah. Mine are just disasters. Mine are just like
No, this is a
Titanic.
pretty good story.
Oh, is it?
Well, we'll see.
Okay, all right.
I seem to remember it being a good story.
All right.
But yeah, so I met Brian when I was at City FM.
Yeah,
Brian Hayward.
Brian
Yeah.
Hayward.
Yeah.
And going to visit him actually in a couple of weeks. He's got a place up north here. So
Oh, is he still up there?
yeah, he's got a place.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So you knew him in Winnipeg, and
No,
then
so yeah, I met him in Winnipeg,
Yeah.
and we met in an elevator of our building. I didn't know this. We lived on the same floor in this small high-rise.
Interesting.
Are you Brian Hayward? And I go, yeah. I said, I'm the coach, Jeff Lumby. I did sports at the time.
Yeah.
He goes, I listen to you every morning. Anyway, we hit it off.
perfect.
And his most dreaded team in the NHL, because he's from Georgetown, was Montreal.
Oh boy.
And one day I get a voicemail, Coach, you're not going to believe this. I just got traded to the effing Montreal Canadiens. so I wish I still...
Steve Penny. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
for
right.
Steve Penny.
Yeah.
So he's out in Montreal for a few weeks, and he goes, you got to get out here, man. The English radio is brutal.
Yeah.
So I send a tape. I get a job. It was really
Wow.
kind of cool. So I was living with Brian, 88 and then into the 89 season, and meeting all the guys, hanging out with like Chelios and Nyland
There's
and all
a
the
young goaltender that Brian Hayward played with was pretty good too. And that was Patrick Waugh.
Patrick Waugh,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
he came
yeah,
in at
yeah,
that time.
sorry, yeah,
87, yeah.
So many stories. I remember I had one of my drama awards on a table, and he had a Jennings award, and then
Similar.
I'm eating at the table. I'm eating my spaghetti, and he walks in with the second Jennings award.
No.
Looks for a place to put it. Grabs my acting award from Saskatchewan. Fires it across the room. Puts the, So
Hey, let me interject what it says on this award, because when I saw this in his house when he lived in Oakville, I go down. I'm looking at all these trophies and stuff. And seen best chess player or whatever. Attendance, this kind of stuff. And then I see
participation badges everywhere.
Dave, no. Hold on. Then I see this plaque. It says, Best Actor Saskatchewan. And it was for Flowers of Algernon.
Yeah.
I said, come on.
Charlie Gordon.
Yeah, there he played Charlie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the one that strangles the puppies or whatever. So when Brian Hayward's got Jennings Awards, he's looking for a space. That kills me.
Oh, it's fun. It's funny stuff. So anyway, I buy a house out in St. Lazare. And then the 1989 season begins.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone had a good feeling about the 89 season. And my brother, who's also a Habs fan, 10 years younger than me, so he's at this time, he's 20. And his gift, because I had Habs season tickets at the Forum. And his gift was, at Christmas, if they make the final, you can come out and watch all the games.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool. So it happens.
Yes, it
Calgary
does.
and
right.
Montreal, and the radio station was a block from the Forum on Fort Street in Montreal.
That's the life right there.
Yeah,
You got everything happening.
Yeah, so what I used to do is I would go over, watch the practices, and then go out for lunch with everybody.
Sure.
So the one day, we go out for lunch, all the guys and me, and there's Svoboda, and there's Naslund, and all these guys, and sitting next to me is Larry Robinson, the nicest human being on the planet.
Big bird.
And so I said this to him, and I can't even believe, because my brother's in town now, and I'm way out in St. Lazare, which is Hudson, right?
Right.
And that's where Larry lives. Larry lived in St. Lazare. So I say to him, is this a big pain? I know this is the Stanley Cup Finals and everything, but I come in, I do my morning show, and then I'm kind of stuck here in the city, and my brother's out there right now. Would you mind picking him up for practice?
Oh, my God.
And he goes, that's not a problem.
Wow.
So I didn't tell my brother. Did not tell my brother.
Oh,
Julie
perfect.
stays out in St. Lazare.
Yeah.
She's all in on this thing. He's sleeping. Ding dong. Julie, hey Larry. Okay, just hang on. Goes in. John. Hard sleeper. There's somebody at the door here. Can you come on out?
This is the acting coming out.
Yeah, see.
So
He doesn't lose it.
No.
my brother comes around the corner like this. Larry Robinson, come on, John, get dressed. We're going to practice. On the way in, he picks up Larry's Peter Svoboda, picks up Mats Naslund, takes my brother into the Forum, sticks him in the penalty box for a Stanley Cup practice.
Oh, good God.
Tours him through the with the torch.
Amazing.
And tours him through the
Yeah.
dressing room, and
Yeah.
it's just the greatest story. And then of course we watched all the games, and I think was it Game 6 or Game 7, the only time the Habs lost the cup
on home ice. Yeah.
on home ice.
Yeah.
And there we are, and I'm watching the damn game, and it's over. And my hatred for Lanny McDonald is unrivaled.
Yeah, see, and I've never known anyone to ever say that sentence.
No,
I've
me
never known
neither.
anyone
Me neither.
say this about Lanny, but Jeff Lumby, says this about Lanny.
Well, probably because he was a Leaf.
Right.
And that stupid helmet, that stupid domey helmet.
Yeah, the Northland helmet.
Yeah, like what was that? Bringing in Russian signals, that thing. I don't know. So anyway, I said to my brother, I said, okay, this is great. Gilmore's picking up the Plinsky, everybody. I'm telling you right now, when he picks that cup up, I'm out of here, so you can either come with me or you can stay and watch the rest. We're leaving. He touches the cup, I'm out. I'm gone. So the two people that you see, excuse me, pardon me, coming through, that was me.
Yeah. Excuse me, pardon me. Excuse me,
No
coming
kidding.
through.
No kidding.
But
That's awesome.
Oh, I see what you mean by the anger now.
Yes.
I
Yeah, no one's ever seen that before.
No.
But as we mentioned beforehand,
Yes.
production and content has been an enormous part of this man's career. And you attempted something that I've only seen either the band or group that originally did this song, And then once in a disastrous attempt to cast this for a commercial, it was like Burger King or Wonderland or I don't know what it was, it just died because the original group that did this.
Reunion.
And when you hear this, you're going to recognize right away what it was. And this would be from, I think the song was in the 70s.
Yeah, the song was in the 70s.
Yes.
And Humble and I did this. So it's Howard and I on this song. We did this, which got played on Hockey Night, by the way.
Cool.
It got played on Hockey Night in Canada. And this is what CJFM in Montreal was playing in the 1989 playoffs.
Awesome. And there's a reason why this song probably would never be attempted today.
Buffalo and Minnesota, Calgary, LA and Boston, Edmonton, Detroit and Pittsburgh, Philly, Jersey, Washington and Winnipeg, Chicago, Hartford, TO, New York and Quebec, Vancouver, New York and St. Louis. All these teams could really do it. Islanders and Capitals, the nicknames of the NHL, the Oilers and the Maple Leafs. Hey boy, oh boy, now there's a team. The Jets and Sabres, Stars and Hawks, Nordiques and Devils, Flyers, Penguins, Whalers, Kings and Wings and Flames. The winner plays 100 games. Canucks and Bruins and the Rangers. All these teams are in big danger.
Hands to the top, watch the puck roll our way. The tradition of winning and a couple of fist fights. Whoa,
as I said, see, okay, harmony. Who's doing harmonies now? Who knows what harmony is?
At the end of
And it's not E-harmony either, you freaks.
shines the Stanley Cup.
Here comes Howard.
Here we go. And take a breath, go.
Banner, banner from the rafters, all the tunes, it's what they're after. Year in year, they hear the call. So far, there's 23 and all. There's 1930, 31, and 45, and 53. There's 1955 through 60. What a streak, it can't be beat. The pocket, rocket, Elmer Locke, and J.C. Tremblay, Jacques Lemaire, LaPerriere, and Guy Lapointe, Von Lambert. Then there's Cournoyer and Bellevaux and Scotty Bowman. Don't you know there's Dickie, Howie, Toe, and Boom Boom, Gumper, Dryden, Surgeon, Fergie, Montreal, their finest hour. Don't forget about the flower.
To the top.
See there, that's a piece of history. As you said, made it to Hockey Night in Canada. Radio stations used to do that. Now they farm this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go to like a studio and a bunch of rap guys, and then they'll come up with a song.
That's a tough call. Rap a song.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it is remarkable how much stuff you have done. Now the other thing, because I know you've actually got some voice work to do, so I know you have to run. But I did want to get this in because a lot of people, aside from the radio side of things, the television side of things was a little show, and it did start off as a little show, that being Red Green.
Yeah,
but
Red Green.
But it didn't end up little.
What a gift from heaven that was. Steve Smith, Red Green, and I were both asked to be parade float judges in Kitchener at the Oktoberfest. We met, we ended up hitting it off, and one thing led to another. And I was on that show for 12, 13 years.
13 years.
As the sewage and septic sucking guy. And, he pulled me aside because we had done some stuff on Y95 for him, some handyman corners, and then he pulls me aside one day at lunch and he says, "Yeah, we're thinking of hiring a sewage and septic sucking guy, and your name floated to the top."
Done.
Yeah, I'm in. So that was very fun. And so for doing the morning show, and then Wednesdays and Saturdays going out to CBC in Toronto to shoot.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great fun.
How many seasons did you say that was? 12 seasons?
For me, it was, I think, 12 or 13. The show was 1990 to 2005, and I
Yes.
think I got in about 92.
Oh, very
something
good.
like that.
And the show wasn't just a Canadian hit, because I believe it was also shown in the States. Was it PBS that showed it?
PBS, all over the place.
So you actually had to go sometimes in character.
Yeah, we would do these shows. Like I would do sewage and septic sucking shows. and they would tour me around like I knew what I was. Yeah, we got this new toilet system here. You might be interested. It's almost like I play one on TV.
Yeah,
you know that
Oh,
old.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very fun.
That's amazing. So great. Look, thank you so much for
Hey,
coming
pal,
in.
really a lot of fun.
You are the best. And as I said, when my life was really shit, I mean, when that personal life was, when people look at it now, they're like, I can't watch. As Jeff said once, you're amazing, because at every choice where you could have taken a right turn and made the right move, you made the wrong ones.
George Costanza.
Every time, took a left. Unbelievable. Yet he and Julie, God bless them, were there to pick up all the pieces and carry me through all that time.
You're easy to be a friend of, my friend.
That was a very special time. So thanks very much. I'm sure we'll get you in again
Absolutely,
sometimes.
that was real
An
fun.
awesome finally meeting you.
Yeah, you too,
yes,
Dave. Cheers.
absolutely. As Jeff goes out, you wonder. So it's Winston Rothschild III.
The third.
Isn't it?
This is the Wrath of Grapes.
The Wrath of Grapes, where they used to do these word games, Red Green, right here on rawmicridges.com.
It's time for the Possum Lodge Word this coupon from Mr. Guido's Barbershop and Craft Emporium. You'll love our homemade mittens made entirely from nose hair. Come on in and pick yours today. All right, Glenn, cover your ears. Okay, Red, you have 30 seconds to get Glenn Braxton to say this word. Work. Work. And go.
Okay, Glenn, this is something people do for most of their lives.
Age.
No, okay, no. Other than sleep, people do this a lot.
Nap.
No, okay, you finish your breakfast, you say, see you later, honey, I'm going to...
Lie down.
No, but I mean, like to have money, to put food on the table, you go to...
The wife's purse.
No, okay, Glenn, if you were, say, a mechanic or a carpenter, you'd make sure you had a something bench.
Comfortable.
No. Oh, this is something happy people do, okay? Whistle while you...
Relieve yourself.
Red,
yeah.
Almost out of time.
Okay, Glenn, you're retired now, but what did you used to do every week, Monday to Friday?
Phone in sick.
Now, Glenn, you're not thinking about this. This is a word for a job, okay? Where you go in every day, put in your time, and then at the end of the week, you get paid.
I heard about this, Red. I just could never make it work for me.
There we go.
There, once again, the work of our good friend Jeff Lumby, Steve Smith, the show Red Green. You're watching rawmicrichards.com, either on the website, which I see people are continuing to subscribe to, and as well, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's where you see a lot of the promos. We break it down during the day, and you can look at the exact moment of the show that you want to see. So we appreciate that as the numbers continue to climb. Speaking of numbers, I'm just really curious this week. The Open. So John Rahm, that's who Mark Zucchino liked. And look, this is very early. If you're listening to this, obviously, probably the first day is already going to be through. But this is the kind of course where if there is a lot of players under, that's going to be probably surprising, Dave, because this can be a pretty mean course.
Yeah, it's going to be a ferocious course as far as unforgiving, a lot of OB and so forth. So far, John Rahm, at this time, 10:40 a.m. on the East Coast, John Rahm is a T7 right now. He's complete 18 holes. He's a -2 on the day.
Wow.
On the first round. There's probably, I'm going to say roughly, there's probably about 45 guys done, 50 players done already. There's still people to come. It's weird because I heard Tiger Woods tees off around 11 Eastern, just before 11 Eastern, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing the math. That's, you add 6 or 7 hours. Does he really tee off at 4 or 5 in the afternoon? Does that even make sense as far as guess, like daylight?
Well, you better move it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's like the old, you get a better rate when it was the Twilight.
That's right. Twilight golf's the best. Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe at the British Open or the Open Championship, they're putting carts on the course. Then we don't know about it.
Yeah, maybe it's cheaper for Tiger. He doesn't make the money that he used to. Maybe that's what's going on. I thought, and we've done a lot of golf stuff, and anytime we play the Caddyshack stuff, it was one of the great movies that ends up being, a cult movie, whether you're a golf guy or not, because there's not a lot of golf movies that actually golfers like. You're not watching Tin Cup. Everyone the guys always get pissy about that. But everyone seems to agree on Caddyshack. And one of the more famous scenes, we've played a couple of deleted scenes. This obviously wasn't one of them. This is Bill Murray and the Dalai Lama story, which to me still one of the great scenes of all time in any movie.
So I jump ship in Hong Kong, and I make my way over to Tibet. And I get on as a looper at a course over there in Himalayas. A looper? A looper. A caddy, a looper. Jack. So I tell him I'm a pro Jack. And who do you think they give me? The Dalai Lama himself. The 12th son of the Lama. The flowing robes, the grace, bald. Striking. So I'm on a first tee with him. I give him the driver. He hauls off and whacks one. Big hitter, the Lama. Long. Into a 10,000-foot crevice right at the base of this glacier. Do you know what the Lama says?
No.
Gunga Galunga. Gunga, gunga, la gunga. So we finish 18, and he's gonna stiff me. And I say, hey, Lama, hey, how about a little something, you know, for the effort, you know? And he says, oh, there won't be any money. But when you die, on your deathbed, you will receive total consciousness. So I got that going, which is nice.
Oh, classic Bill Murray. So I got that going for me. How many times have you heard people rip that off? Also, sticking with the theme of golf, if I say to you, Dave, look, there's a lot of things that could come up when I mentioned this player's name, but one in particular that he's sort of very, very good at, almost famous for when it comes to taking a certain stick out of the bag. If there's a guy who's going to make this kind of shot, what shot do you associate with Phil Mickelson? If you're looking for someone,
ball behind tree,
yeah,
find angle and make it work.
So what are they going to call that shot in golf? What is he, I think, the best at?
Recovery shot? I don't know.
The flop shot.
Okay.
That flop shot. And as much as, we talk about it, when we went a couple of weeks ago to Hockley Valley, I'm like, who has a flop shot? No one. Okay, let's go to where's the beer cart girl? Like, it really, we didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it. But when you watch Phil do it, it seems so effortless. I mean, there's a lot of things that he does that you don't want to repeat on a golf course, but this is one of them. So, courtesy of Raw Mike Richards and Phil Mickelson, and I think it's Callaway. Here's how you perform the Phil Mickelson flop shot.
One of the famous shots that Phil is noted for is the flop shot. The technique is incredible. Phil, can you explain that?
Well, Roger, I need obviously a 60-degree wedge or more. I sometimes will use a 64, but the 60-degree is just as effective. I need to have bounce, actually. People think that I don't have bounce on this shot. I actually have 10 degrees of bounce, but I have this little concave groove we talked about where the leading edge is sticking forward. It helps get underneath the ball.
Right.
The biggest thing in hitting the lob shot is assessing the lie. If we have one other ball, I'd like to point out there are two different lies here. One where the grass is fluffy and one where the grass is tight. I'm going to show you how to hit the one off of the tight lie here. And what I do is I want the club to go underneath the ball. The bounce kicks it into the ball, and that's how I get it to pop up. So I open up the face almost flat, so the toe is almost touching the ground. And I put my weight forward. This helps me drive the club into the ground and keep it underneath the ball. Now, if I were to let the club pass, what happens is the sole starts adding bounce, and the leading edge starts coming up off the ground, and I blade it. So I have to make sure that my arm and club are accelerating together through impact. If I start stopping my arm and letting the wrist flip, that's when the leading edge comes up off the ground and blades it. So I've got my weight forward, the club is flat, the toe is almost hitting the ground, and I'm going to drive the club right behind the ball.
Look at that.
And I'm able to hit this soft little lob shot. Now, if I use that same technique off of this fluffy lie, watch what happens. I go right underneath it.
Right.
So I have to make an adjustment. And that adjustment is my weight. My weight forward will drive the club down underneath the ball off a tight lie, but I have to level it out off of a fluffy lie so that I have a shallower bottom of my arc.
This is adding bounce to the shot.
Adding bounce, exactly. But it's also leveling out the angle of attack or impact. And I'm able to hit the same lob shot off of different lies.
It's one thing.
That is, again, that's a clinic right there by Phil Mickelson, and
that's one of
he makes it look so easy.
That's one of Mark Zucchino's favorite golfers of all time.
Lefty?
Phil Mickelson. Loves Phil Mickelson.
He is in our house, too. My dad calls him Phil.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, Phil now.
Phil, interesting.
Like, he'll come in. If there's a tournament, how's Phil doing? I don't know. Why don't you call him on his cell? Seem to know him so well. But it is. It's true. Because, you know what? As much as the Fig Jam article comes out.
Yeah.
And for everyone that I have talked to since that time, including guys who follow other guys on the tour, the guys who work for PGA Radio.
Yeah.
None of those guys agreed with the article. They said there might be some elements of where, I mentioned Tin Cup. Well, what's his name was supposed to be reflective of what Phil Mickelson was
Don Johnson.
Don Johnson was supposed to be where he was nice in person, and as soon as he turned around, he wasn't nice.
Right.
So that was the fig jam sort of whole image. But what a lot of guys said, including a guy who originally worked on PGA radio and was a tour player for 20 years, Greg Powers, who was really good. He said, Phil spends a lot of time with Amy, and his that was his thing. Like, he was kind of going home, where some of the other younger guys, Camilo Villegas, some of those other guys were not. And so there was this feeling like he was snubbing the guys in the tour, where a guy like Marcus Aquino will say, no, I don't believe that image is the correct one, is the proper one. And I do like it. Look, let's be honest. When Phil's in it, you just don't know. Because he could make that great shot and then say, I think I'm going to use my driver off the fairway on a, he might try one of these crazy shots. Sometimes they work. A lot of times they don't.
Right.
But he is sort of the riverboat gambler, and that's why you want to see him in there. And it's also why he has eventually, won some jackets. He takes a chance, and I think as a champion, you do. So, I like Phil too. Some other interesting things I found just as we're, it's the summer. I'm not going to talk anymore about Kawhi Leonard. Why? We get it. We need to now see how this is all going to work out. I'm not really uptight about that. But the one thing when we talk about, apparently the first slam dunk, we talk about when it has now jumped the shark. But how far back do you have to go where it was a new thing? Well, I can tell you, in 1976-77, I moved down to Eugene, Oregon. And at that time, so I'm in 8th grade. And Dave, all I could think about was slam dunks. In fact, you're going to see an ABA All-Star game. The two left, Julius Erving, Dr. J, and a guy by the name of David Thompson. If you're not familiar with David Thompson, because we're going back away.
One of the owners of the Winnipeg Jets.
A different one.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he had a vertical that was 57 inches. He could literally jump up and touch the other side of the backboard. At this point, he plays for the Denver Nuggets, and this is the old. Remember McNichol Arena?
Yes, I do, in Colorado.
That's where
Denver,
this is.
Colorado. Yeah.
That's where this is.
The Rockies played there.
And here's something else. David Thompson is going to do a 360. They'd never seen it before. These were originators of the kinds of dunks that influenced generations of guys to do dunks. Listen to what he calls the 360, the announcer. Kind of funny, but this is 1976 ABA All-Star Game.
Twist around, slam dunk.
A twist around slam dunk, Dave. Like Russell does.
Yes.
Eric Thompson. Twist around, slam dunk.
The ABA ball. And then here comes Dr. J was the coolest thing ever. As a kid, that was just nothing but look how he holds the ball. Like it's a tennis ball. And this, you talk about the influence. Well, when you see this dunk.
David Thompson finishing it with a twist around, patented slam dunk. And now the doctor goes to work.
Tell me if this dunk looks familiar from someone else who did it years later. The name will be familiar. Oh, not this one. Yeah, they had to do a series of you had to do a couple of, close to the basket, and then something that was what they called, I think, 10 feet away to start. Marching off like a long jumper. You may know it's coming. The crowd can feel it. Now,
and that sends everyone reeling.
Yeah.
Julius Erving.
We'd never seen that before. That was the first time of its kind you saw that. The Julius Erving, which of course Michael Jordan.
Famous poster.
Yeah.
Famous poster.
Isn't that? But that's when the slam dunk was just relatively, in terms of the national craze, or international craze, it came from that.
Yeah.
That was very cool.
That's very cool. It is. The twist around dunk was pretty good too. Was that they call it the twist around?
The David Thompson patented twist around.
Twist around.
Twist
yeah.
around.
I hope they have the twist around coming up in this next one in the NBA. Some have been really good. Even
the one in Toronto was excellent.
Yeah,
the wrong guy won.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Like I even remember enjoying ones that Spud Webb were in.
Yes.
Because Spud Webb, our height, and you sit there and you go, Spud Webb doing that. So it was kind of cool. And then for a number of years, it started to kind of like, okay, this is kind of dull, boring. Vince Carter boosted it back up again.
Absolutely.
And then went back down. And now there's an interest level for me. I think it's all about placement as well. There can't be too many things around to watch during an All-Star game. Just like the NBA, the MLB All-Star game. There's nothing else on TV. If that All-Star game's on Thursday or Friday, I'm watching the CFL game. I'm not watching the All-Star game.
Totally.
But they place it on the Monday, Tuesday. They have their event. Nothing else is going on the calendar. It's ideal. Boom, you watch it.
I mean, what is there left to do?
Yeah.
When you think about it, when they started, I think it was Dwight Howard who put the sticker, a Sprite sticker on there, and he had the cape on. He did that.
Sure.
That's when Dwight Howard was still liked. These are Orlando
that
days.
was a while ago.
That's when he was still liked, and then immediately not.
Like 8 teams ago, basically. Yeah.
So now in LA with his friend, I wonder how that's going to work out.
We'll see.
It's interesting. Some of the fallout of Kawhi, where people are saying he will be the LeBron of the Eastern Conference next year. That's what some have said.
That'd be pretty cool.
That's what the Raptors are hoping for. I hope they get it.
I hope we hear from Leonard sooner than later, because we really haven't heard from him yet.
And look, he's not the kind of personality that's going to do a lot of talking either. No, he's pretty quiet.
Nope.
Also, I found as we get ready for CFL season already underway, I see they're experimenting with the sort of that mic'd up stuff.
Yes.
Sometimes I like it, and then sometimes I don't.
Sometimes it's annoying, especially when they're doing the play-by-play and they completely stop talking and they listen to.
And sometimes the coordinator talking back like it's
a bogus play and it repeats itself over and over. It's like, okay.
Yeah, there's a time where I think you do it occasionally, but not as often.
We don't need to see it.
No.
We don't need to see it once a week.
No, I don't think so.
One of the 4 games.
No, I don't think so. In football coverage, one of the big things, of course, is the pregame, where now you have someone in there. They talk about, and then they isolate these little interviews. This comes from the state of Michigan. This is a Division II championship game between like Muskegon, and I'm not sure who the other team is, but it's Division II high school. This kind of funny, I don't know, the announcer kind of has a sense of humor, but Dave, I don't think you're going to see a funnier pregame setup than you see in this high school football game. For some reason, even the kids are hysterical. The parents are funny. This might be the funniest pregame I've ever seen, and it's Division II high school in the state of Michigan.
It's a huge deal, but you know what? The boys, they've wanted this all year long. They've wanted this for so many years, and this year we got it.
So did you do anything special at all before the game?
Yeah, I got my beads on. We tailgated.
You tailgated today?
Mm-hmm.
Tailgating before a high school game?
Oh, we do it all the time.
Division II state championship. We're hearing this Muskegon team has a really good defense. Are you worried a little bit?
You're always worried, but we have a pretty good offense, too. We're very offensive on the east side of Detroit, so we're ready.
But I'm not sure if the players are really ready for this.
We're ready. We're ready to go out there and hit them every play. Right now, baby, you're going to know we came to Ford Field.
He hasn't slept in probably 7 days.
They're holding hands. That's not very football-like, is it? Holding hands? That's better. That's better. They're calling you guys that you guys don't have a very good offense. That Muskegon team, they're fired up. What do you say to them?
We have a good offense.
If you're not nervous, you're not ready.
These kids are ready.
I think I got my swagger back.
As a student, watching the players that you know, don't you get nervous?
No, not really. Because I know my boys got this. They got this.
That's not what the other team says.
We don't care what they say. We're bringing it.
We are better than the Lions. We are the best team to ever play on this field. Yeah!
I'm I'm not sure they're better than the Lions, but final score, Warren De La Salle 44, Muskegon 8.
State championship, boys!
That's awesome.
He's ready for the WWE.
That was great.
Promo guy.
My swagger back. High school football. Boy, see, I miss that too. Coaching that.
Yeah, I loved playing. I loved playing that as well. That was it was great. Like, even I'm sure they do this throughout Canada, but North America, you're wearing your jersey on game day in the school,
cool. Yeah.
and everybody has their It's very cool. High school football, and it's so short too, because you're basically in training camp in August. You find out whether or not you made the team before school even starts in September, and then the season's over in about 9 weeks.
Yeah.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
Early November.
Well, yeah,
it's over.
yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of like, yeah, it was fun because I'm sure when you coach, you had a chance to play in some of the bigger stadiums. But yeah, the championship was always in Winnipeg Stadium, right?
That's the coolest thing.
Yeah,
ever.
it was very cool. So you kind of grow up watching that, and you're like, we want to be there too. But yeah, I loved it.
Looking at some of the lines this week from our good friends at Sports Interaction. Hopefully, you're taking. You saw yesterday's show. You saw the promo, taking advantage of what Sports Interaction offers. If you're a Raw Mike Richards fan, that is up to $200. They will match that bet. So if you got $200 you want to put into the account, now you got $400. It's the best deal, trust me.
Yep.
This week, and starting tonight, Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I can't believe how big this number is. I just can't believe how big the number is. It's -11, the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
I think that has everything to do with Brandon Bridge as the confirmed starter, and he's had his struggles this year so far. I don't see any reason why all of a sudden he's going to appear to be the second coming of
Well, Hamilton better play a lot better than they did the previous week against Saskatchewan.
It's a heavy number though. You're right. So I don't get it unless there's something else that we're missing as far as injuries are concerned. That's maybe one of the number one reasons.
Also, you get the BC Lions at the Ottawa Red Blacks. BC, I don't know what Winnipeg was doing last week, but you've got -6.5 the Red Blacks. I see no reason why they don't cover that number. I don't think BC's going to travel out and cover 7 points.
I don't think so either. I think they have a little bit of, I guess, added confidence that Travis Lulay is now the starter. I think the team has played better under Travis Lulay, and you look at what they did against the Bombers. Nothing in the first half, everything in the second half, and the Bombers kind of gave them that game too. I mean, Matt Nickel threw 3 interceptions and a half, and it was atrocious. Like, I haven't seen a Bomber half like that in years.
This year. That surprised me. I think Michael O'Shea, the coach, he must have had some pretty choice words after that game.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a little bit of bounce back because the Bombers are here in Toronto on Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock start.
It's -2 Bombers.
That's interesting because at the beginning of the week it was a pick'em. It was a pick'em between these two teams. I see this being a close game. The Bombers, no matter what team they actually have, they seem to have hiccups in Toronto. That's the only thing I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a field goal game. So if you like the Bombers, you're probably giving away the points. If you like the Argos, you'll accept them and see what happens.
It's tight. Before we end the show, this to me was this is so far away from what we normally talk about. It's bizarre. But we've all known that magical night. It was the American Music Awards back in the 80s where Michael Jackson comes out and does a move that he's been credited since that time as one of the great innovators. Now, am I saying Michael Jackson isn't one of the great dancers, choreographers, creative geniuses of his time? I'm not saying that, because he is. He completely is. But when I'm looking at this clip from an entertainer back in the 1950s, so this is 1955, his name is Bill Bailey. He starts this tap dance routine. It's obviously it's outstanding. He can do the Bojangles moves. He's doing everything. But how he leaves the stage, I couldn't believe it. Watch the move this guy uses. That's Bill Bailey from 1955. That's cool. I mean, tap like this is unbelievable. There you go. Look it. That's the moonwalk. He just did the moonwalk. That's 1955.
And swiped. Is what it is.
You thief. Yeah. You saw it.
Just become best friends. Yep.
And stole the moonwalk.
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep.
I am livid.
It's
Actually, I'm not livid. And I'll be betting on the game tonight. And I think the Ticats probably cover. And when they do, I'll be moonwalking.
Yeah.
And I'll record it, and I'll say, hey, look what I just invented. Now, come on, Russell, come over on my Ferris wheel, and then we'll stay overnight. Yeah.
Let's get ready to rumble!
I'd like to thank our good friend Jeff Lumby. That was wonderful having him in studio. Such a good guy and a tremendous talent. Great story, the Larry Robinson, with apologies to Lanny McDonald.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us today. Remember, continue to subscribe. We love it.